hi. Hey, Leeroy. It's nice to see you. And it was super nice to see you last week at CPB Canada, which is the Canadian Bookkeeping Association. It was super nice to see you last week. And I saw you in June as well at Intuit. So I haven't seen you in a couple of years, and now I've seen you twice in the space of a few months. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been great to see you as well, Kelly. I mean, I really appreciate the workflow watering hole and everything you've done for the industry too. So a lot learned, and it's not that we haven't been busy. Well, since you've last seen us, we've been quite busy, which I'm excited to share some of those things we've been working on today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing about them. And so you and I connected, I'm going to go, is that about 3 years ago, the first time? And you were solving a pretty big problem for bookkeepers in the construction niche, and that was pretty cool. But I can't keep up with all the apps, no matter how much I liked it. I haven't really followed it that much because it is not my niche, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward today to hearing what you guys have been up to. But first, can you tell us a bit about you? I have a base idea why you founded this app, why you created it, but can you tell us why you created it and what the compelling problems that it solves are? But first, I just want to say, again, we talked about it a little bit briefly last week at the bookkeeping conference. Do bookkeepers not love new technology? Are they like, what have you got?
Yeah, we had a lot of excitement at our table. It was great to see, right? So yeah, that adage that bookkeepers don't like new tech is definitely false at that CPB conference.
So false. The Canadian bookkeeping, the certified bookkeepers in Canada, we love new tech. Anyways, back to you. That's almost enough about Canadian bookkeepers. Tell me about you and your background and what the compelling problem your app solves is. Oh, what is the name of your app?
Yeah, so the app is called Level. You can see us on checkthelevel.com. We have a little mascot. The idea is that it acts like a Copilot, and we'll talk a little bit about that later when we run through the demo. But it's called Level, or Check the Level if you want to call it that. And the specific product is called the Level Copilot. Yeah, and just a little bit about myself. So I'm an accountant through and through. I qualified as a chartered accountant in South Africa at KPMG. I did the audit route, so I spent 3 years in practice, got my CA qualification in South Africa. And following that, I really wanted to see what the rest of the world was like, and ended up doing my master's at the University of Toronto here in Canada, and have stuck around since. And after qualifying or finishing my MBA, we ended up starting a business that was aimed at helping construction businesses with job costing. Both of my co-founder and I come from a family of construction, and we felt like, okay, so many contractors don't know what their profits on their jobs are, and we wanted to solve that problem. And what ended up happening was we built an accounting firm in the process, offering services to construction companies to help with job costing. And I ended up having to grow. We grew to like a team of 15 or 20 providing these services.
I'm going to interject. Although I haven't followed Level, the app, much, I have been completely compelled by the growth of your firm.
Yeah, we grew really quickly.
Yes, and it seemed like really efficiently. And can I give a bit of a shout out to future firm Ryan Lazanis as well?
Yeah, he was a great.
You're one of his poster child on listening to what Ryan says and acting upon it. So go you. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're an app founder. You feel the feels on all of the things we have going on.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of my biggest challenges I had managing an accounting team was reviewing my team's work. So quality control, or quality assurance, or just like internal audit processes. Quite often what would happen is I'd have a bookkeeper on staff. Month end comes, I review their work. I'd give them feedback on the work they performed. But quite often, what would happen too many times that I'd like, either the mistake had been repeated multiple times because the feedback was given 3 to 4 weeks later. And at that point, a lot of time was spent fixing those mistakes. Two, sometimes the client would identify the mistake before I did, and that obviously just never looks good on you.
Right.
And then the other time, the issue is like sometimes people would forget why they made that mistake, right? So, trying to remember what you did 3 to 4 weeks ago as a bookkeeper if you're managing multiple files can be quite hard, especially if the mistake's not within the reporting period that you're looking at. That was another issue. It was like, okay, well, you're posting things for next month, but I'm not reviewing that until 2 months from now.
Actually, that's a really good point. Yeah, I love the way you phrased that.
Yeah. So, when you look at and then, when I was looking at this problem, especially now we're all built on the Amazon experience. You click, you get the product shipped to you immediately. And, that's the world I believe most of us are living in right now. And when I looked at the market for a solution that essentially, it was error detection at its core, hey, I want a tool that tells me of specific errors that happen within 24 hours. Because at least at that time, if the issue is significant enough, I can interject and either give feedback to the bookkeeper, so they're getting feedback way faster, knowing what success looks like on the job, and that accelerates their onboarding. If you do hire a new bookkeeper, or if you're giving a new client file to a bookkeeper, they are getting feedback nearly every day on their books, helping them feel more confident in their work. And what ended up turning into also is that sometimes clients would be doing parts of the book. So issuing sales invoices, applying payments to sales invoices, and those things, but they would make mistakes. And again, they would also like feedback on those mistakes, because I think most people, when you start with bookkeeping in QuickBooks Online, you're sort of tiptoeing. You're like, I don't know if what I'm doing is right. And then quite often you only get that feedback, way later. And by that time, a lot of unnecessary time has to be spent fixing those mistakes. And I also recognize that managers don't necessarily have time to review as quickly as they want, right? Again, because it's quite often a very manual process, and it's done at month end. So what we ended up doing at Level when we were doing, at the construction accounting firm, was we built this tool that essentially, what it does is it looks at any new transactions created or modified in your accounting software in the last 24 hours. And then based on a set of custom rules that you can enable, there's over 20 that we have now, and it's all based on best practices in the accounting industry, as well as some of the nuances associated with construction or QuickBooks related features. You would enable those rules, and if any of those transactions meet those rules, you would be notified. So for example, some of the ones I'd like to share are okay, let's just say I want to be notified when an accounts receivable balance goes negative. You have a bookkeeper who applies a payment to a customer but doesn't apply to an open sales invoice, resulting in a negative balance. And that quite often happens with clients too, if they're doing the bookkeeping of that side. They could get notified 24 hours later saying, hey, it looks like you applied a payment not to a sales invoice. You might want to double check this. Another common one that we had was, things being expensed as opposed to being applied to open bills. So one of the rules you could enable is...
Hallelujah. Okay, go ahead.
So one of the rules you could enable is you could say, hey, please check if any expenses match up into any open bills, as long as they have the same vendor name, right? So if, for example, someone expensed something that should have been applied to an open bill, you'd get a notification saying, hey, it looks like the payment should have been applied to this open bill. Do you want to double check that?
Wow. So can we pause there?
Yeah.
That is an issue with love the bank feeds to the moon, but it does cause that to happen, right?
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the reasons when I'm publishing over from some of the other expense management tools, I publish as a bill, because that's such a problem, right? A date transfers. Anyways, you guys have really changed what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. This is so fun. This is why I love not. So some people know I do these organically. I actually don't know where Leeroy and I are going today, and that's what makes these so much fun. Okay, you can carry on, but you had at open bills versus expenses. Cool.
Cool, thanks. I love Yeah, and so that's where the idea started. Was, hey, we kept seeing these recurring issues, and when feedback was shared with some of our bookkeepers, we would continue to see these issues. And now when we provided a much more shorter timeline on the feedback of issues that might occur, our team just felt a lot more confident in the books. They had a better idea of what success looked like. So it really helped also garner a much more better culture internally in the company. Because I mean, like, funny story, my first experience with QuickBooks Online was like, my boss was like, hey, do you have experience with QuickBooks Online? I said, no. And he's like, okay, well, I assigned you to a client. You're going in tomorrow and you're going to be doing the books for it. And this client didn't really want to talk to me. So I had to, like, decipher what was going on and learn a new software at the same time. I had no feedback. And I was, like, a tool like this that at least would tell me when I need to ask a question to my manager would have been really helpful. So
I'm going to interrupt again because I'm so stinking excited.
Yeah.
Our tool is a confidence and culture builder.
Yeah. It definitely helps with that. I mean, yeah. I will put the caveat as long as, like, you speak to the team about the intention behind it. Because again, we are auditing and it is reviewing your work. And we don't want to be positioned as like micromanaging. This is strictly, hey, you have a job learning to do. This is going to accelerate your job learning.
Nice.
Right? Because that's the biggest challenge, right? And like, if you look at the industry today, there's massive turnover in bookkeepers. It's an aging population, so like less people are entering the industry. It's just you need something that formalizes your bookkeeping data quality standards. And does that automatically so that you can, you can be confident in your books and spend your time on larger things in the business. Yeah, go ahead.
So could it translate outside of construction? You're going to show me anyways, or are the things it's looking for so specific to that industry?
No, so we have general rules. So you'll see we bracket it down between general rules, security rules, and then project or job costing related rules, which feed into sort of like, are you using the projects feature or the billable feature in QuickBooks Online? We have some rules around that. But yeah, we are keeping this open, and we have some other rules coming in that are in the pipeline, like things like, one of the ones I would love to see is like an aging report of unmatched deposits, bank deposits. So so you can see like, oh, these ones are aged. Like, why are they so old? Then
not the other ones, funds can run amok in QBO or anything, right? Never see
that. That was one of the accounts I'm always nervous at reviewing, especially if you see things that aren't like, I think it's bank deposits or payments in that account, and you immediately know something's wrong, right?
I have another question, and this is fine if you don't. Maybe it's on the roadmap, but now you've just got me excited about things. Will it identify possible duplicate vendors, chart of accounts, unused ones? Is it doing that level of stuff?
No, not yet. So that's definitely something that is on our roadmap. And we do look at, like, if you add any new vendors, especially if you have to add like T5018 information, you can just pull a list of all new vendors and review them there. And I'll run through that process in a bit. But yeah, we're open to any new feedback, right? Like, setting up these rules, as much as we've developed these rules internally and some of our clients have suggested rules, a lot of what we're working on is, asking the community for feedback on kind of the rules that they'd like to see. Because there's a lot of applications here, and we are looking at a way to create a custom rule specific to the types of inputs that you want. So like, show me a list of notify me when there's an unclear transaction, for example, in my bank account. So that is on our roadmap for sure. In terms of our roadmap, like, when I think about where this product's going, I think one of the big challenges is assessing performance for employees. Like, there's not much out there in the accounting industry to help with that. Like, I want to know, how many issues are my client, like, how is this bookkeeper training? Are they getting more issues? Are they getting less issues? Have they been good, but all of a sudden are doing bad? Like, like, having that conversation, having that data in front of us to be able to have a meaningful conversation with our bookkeepers or our team is definitely something we see the future of this company growing towards. So that's our goal.
Wow, I can't get over how different this product is from what I looked at a couple of years ago. I'm not even going to say what I looked at, but I loved it then. Okay. why don't we do a demo? Unless you have something else you want to say, I'm dying to see it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sure. Happy to do a demo. Just, before we dive into the demo, it's important, I'll clarify this in the demos. It's important to keep in mind two different dates here. There's creation date and reporting date, and you can pull different reports based on that. But just to give an example so that we're all on the same page, I could create a transaction today that's reported next month or last year, right? So what one section of Levels features is looking at any transactions created in the last 24 hours. And there is some features around looking at reporting date too. But just to set the stage, it's important to bear that in mind as we work through this. And our goal with this tool is we want it to be able to retrofit into most software workflow or accounting company workflows. So we've specifically designed this tool to be easy to implement. Takes about 10 minutes to set up, and then you can set it and forget it.
What does it integrate with? Just QuickBooks Online? Did you pick off the big market?
Yeah, QuickBooks Online for the moment, just because most of North America is on QuickBooks Online. A big goal of ours is to integrate with Xero soon. So that's the next big software on our roadmap to integrate with.
Oh, and I do of course need to know these. 2FA is by SMS text.
Yeah, correct.
And you are in phase 2. This is a big one for security. Some people realize it, some don't. The vetting process for security with QuickBooks with Intuit is quite tight, and you are in that process. Where are you at with that?
So we're pretty
qualified. Just because an app integrates with QuickBooks Online does not mean Intuit has approved it because of the way the APIs work. If an app is on the App Store, Intuit App Store, or in the vetting phases, that is a good indicator that you have passed some rigorous security. So you are, yes, in what phase of that?
So we passed phase 1, we're in phase 2 now. So so we're hoping to be on the marketplace very soon. So just some information there. Cool. It's important for us to be on there. So okay. Cool. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and we can dive into this.
Email verification too, right? Email verification for signing up. Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay, I'm done.
Cool. Well, it's financial data, and it's important to us to make sure that is secure, right? All right. So here's the product. Can you see that, Kelly? I just want to make sure that's fine.
Got it. That's great.
So I'm going to dive into this. All right, so you can still see it. I'm just getting a bit used to the setup. Just going to shift you over here. All right, so when you log into Level, after you've connected it, what you will be directed to is this alerts dashboard. What this alerts dashboard is it's showing you a daily report of the types of transactions that you wanted to be notified of based on the rules that you enabled, right? So if I click on one of these, it's going to show me a few things. So duplicate expense transaction. So here's the one that we were talking about earlier. Here's an expense and a bill for the same amount. It shows you who created or modified this transaction, and it's saying, hey, expense that may have been double counting your books. Please double check this. If you're logged into the QuickBooks Online account, you can click on this little button, and it will actually redirect you to that transaction. It might take a few minutes to load, or a few seconds. So here you can actually see that transaction, and if you want to edit it or do anything to it, you can quite quickly.
Okay, so I don't know if you could see that it opened it in QuickBooks. We can't because you're showing a tab.
Not showing a tab. Yeah. Can I change that?
Yeah, you can change that. But you have to just share something different, I think, under sharing. So while you're doing that, I'm going to explain that to people. In a lot of these apps, if you are logged into the client file while you are in an app that has an integration with it, it will take you to a transaction, but you need to be logged into that client file, and then it's pretty magic to just open it.
Cool.
Oh, look at us.
Infinite Mirror.
So that was fun. So do it again, Leeroy.
Yeah. So as I was saying earlier, here's the alert for the duplicated expense transaction. If I just click on this little link here, and I'm logged into the QuickBooks Online account specific to the account that's linked to Level, you will get redirected to that transaction, and you can review it here, edit it, or make changes. And if it's good, you can just click address, and you can say that issue has been dealt with. So in this case, I'll most likely just change this to a payment and apply it against the bill.
Okay, so a quick question though. By addressing it, you're addressing it in QuickBooks though.
Yeah, you would have to. So you would have to address it in QuickBooks and then mark it addressed afterwards.
Okay, gotcha.
As that has been dealt with. Yeah.
Yep.
Next, you have another rules. If you want to know if transactions have been assigned to customers but not coded to cost of sales, this is quite a construction or any service-based industry. This is quite important to make sure that your gross profit number is accurate. So if expenses are getting assigned to customers, you might want to just double check, like, hey, should this line item be in cost of sales? Because by definition, anything that can be traced to a customer is part of cost of sales. Billable expenses without attachments.
So can I just go back to, because some people may not know this. So in QuickBooks Online, because I want to address how easy this is to do.
Yeah.
When you saw those and you opened up that expense and the bill, perhaps, if you open the expense, it will then show you open bills, and you can just click to apply it to that expense. What people don't do is surface that problem. The fix is quite easy, but a lot of people don't know that that's all you need to do is then it will ask you to add any open bills to expense transaction. But what most people don't do is check to see if that problem even exists. This really solves a compelling problem. The fix is actually really easy. It's the finding it that's the problem. So thank you.
And it can have quite dramatic problems, right? Like if you're duplicating expenses and you filed your taxes based on that, and this issue is not discovered in time, that could lead to the client having to pay more taxes, right?
Yeah.
Transactions posted to parent accounts. I'll run through all the rules. Missing location, transactions post.
Yeah.
So this one's quite helpful. Like, sometimes bookkeepers say, well, I could always just lock the bookkeeping period in QuickBooks. It is quite easy to circumvent that if you are the primary admin. So this is just an additional layer on top of that. And then also, this is helpful in situations where, let's just say you are, providing financial review services, right? So you're going, hey, let's look at your numbers month to month and discuss how the business is performing then. You might want to have a situation where, like, okay, I want to be notified if any of the months I've had a discussion with my client has changed. So, okay, someone, it's 3 months later, someone changes something 2 months ago, and now all the numbers are changed and the performance for that period has changed. Well, like, I need to know that and inform the client, like, what impact that has, right? So this transactions posted or closed bookkeeping period is a great one to keep an eye on. Then. And then we'll run through all of them, but you can also set it up so that you get notified when vendors have negative balances or customers have negative balances, right?
Nice. Okay. Great.
When we look at the alert, you can actually. So what happens when you sign up for Level? It's going to ask you to verify your email. It's going to ask you to do two-factor authentication, and then what it's going to do is our little mascot here, Cam, is going to run you through onboarding, and they're going to ask you to connect your QuickBooks Online account. And then customize your bookkeeping rules. And I'm gonna show you the bookkeeping rules in a second. Once you've enabled those bookkeeping rules, what Cam will do is look at all your most recent transactions in QuickBooks Online and recommend a set of rules for you. It's going to go, hey, it looks like you use classes in this company. Do you want to enable that feature, right? So wow. Cam is going to do some sort of analysis of your books when you actually connect. And then recommend rules for you. So
I have a question. Because if we want to bump the SEO on this particular video, because we're both going to post it in various places. So is this AI?
Yeah. It's algorithmic formulated. AI is on our roadmap. But we have a specific algorithm that runs through your QuickBooks and checks everything. AI is a very hot topic at the moment.
The SEO just by mentioning it. I love algorithms though. Okay, keep going.
So here are all our rules. As I mentioned earlier, it's based on general rules. So you have things like transactions posted to a closed bookkeeping period. If you go to our website and go to like our help center, we do list all the rules there. Missing bills, journal entries. I always love reviewing journal entries because I think that's just my inner auditor. Because I was, when we audited a company when I was at KPMG, the first thing we would ask for is all the journal entries for the year, because quite often you can find where the mistakes are there.
I'm gonna go off on a little road trip, and if I get too far gone, I'll stop myself. And who doesn't love a little story to commiserate? So I got a file from an accounting firm, and every single transaction in this client file, everything was it's a QuickBooks Online file. Everything was a journal entry. So seriously, bank fees, right? Debit bank fees, credit bank, like everything. And this is an audited financial situation. So when the auditors asked me for the journal entries for the year, I'm like, believe me, you do not want to see, you do not want me sending these to you, right?
Yeah.
So it was wild. And they had done, and I don't like to slag other accounting firms. I'm sure there was reasons for this, including maybe they got this file and didn't understand that QuickBooks is transaction based, not journal entry based. But they also reconciled to paper statements, not in the QuickBooks file. So we had some work to get that file ready for audit, but every single transaction was a single journal entry.
Yeah, that's a bit, and like, I can only imagine what kind of mess that created in any of the other modules within QuickBooks, like your accounts receivable. I mean, if they had receivables, I don't know how they were keeping track of.
Yeah. Okay. Carry on. We all love a like that,
right? Yeah. Then the rules sort of dive down into like some more like QuickBooks specific rules. So, transactions missing vendors and customers, transactions with a new vendor in any account. So this one's helpful if, a vendor has never been set to a specific account and now it has been. So that just helps pick up like coding errors.
Right.
One of my favorites, and like I can share a story with us, is this transactions missing products or services. So a lot of third-party integrations with QuickBooks Online require transactions to be coded to products or services to sync, right? If you code that to if I pull up this bill, if I coded this to category details as opposed to item details, it would not sync to certain types of software, right? Like, just because I'm familiar with construction, ones like Builder, Trend, CoConstruct, those sort of things. So we had one of our clients shared this with us. Had a bookkeeper come in, started a new bookkeeper come in and just coded everything to category details, no item details. We picked up that mistake within the next day because now nothing syncs with the third-party applications because things aren't coded to products and services. And that alert helped us identify or help the client prevent that mistake from snowballing. So that one's a really helpful one if you do have third-party integrations and want to make sure that things are reconciling. Transactions posted to parent accounts. This one's if you've got sub accounts or parent accounts in your chart of accounts, you can get notified when those are getting coded to parent accounts. Transactions. Then we have our security alert. So if there's like transactions being avoided or deleted, you can be notified of that. New items. So if any new items have been added, so like any new vendors is a popular one, just because if you do need to see T508 or want to double check duplicates, you can have this enabled. And then we get into like the more
American friends. That is, if you have construction, often it's subcontractors. That is like a W-9, we'll call it ish.
Yeah. So
that's a Canadian thing. Do you? That's a good question. Do you integrate with US files or is it just Canadian files?
Yeah, so it's US and Canada. So just to clarify, hey, it's either if you're in Canada, it's T5018. In the US, it's 1099. So
right, 1099. What other countries? Australia?
Not yet. So we're mainly available in the US and Canada just because that's where QuickBooks is mostly prominent.
Right. I happen to know, but I didn't mention this at the beginning. You're a Canadian company.
Yeah.
Where's the data stored?
So the data is stored in the US. So on the eastern coast, because we are based on the eastern side, it's through AWS. So obviously we've got a lot of they secure all the data for us. But yeah, so it's AWS that our data is stored on.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Cool.
Not that I'm not paying attention. I'm making a few little notes. When I write something down, it sticks.
Sure. Yeah, that's important. I do the same. And then just these last alerts. So if you have, if you use the billable feature in QuickBooks Online, you can have it set so that, okay, if a transaction is assigned to a customer but not marked as billable, please notify me, because that, essentially should be added to a sales invoice, and you don't want to be in a situation where that's missed on the sales invoice.
Right.
The same goes for like time charges assigned to customers not marked as billable. So this is for like unbillable time. Say like one of your service employees made a mistake, it got assigned to a customer, but you're not going to mark it as billable. As an owner, I want to review that information, right? Like I need to know, how much am I paying for out of pocket as opposed to not making a profit. So this was really helpful if you do use time sheets, like T sheets or QuickBooks Time or QuickBooks Workforce. I always forget the name. They keep changing it. And then
with them, and I don't know right now.
And then the last one, if you are using projects or a sub-customer hierarchy, this one's incredibly helpful. Transactions posted to parent customers. There's nothing worse than a sales invoice or an estimate being assigned to a parent customer and then transactions linked to it. Fixing that is an absolute, like, maybe you know how, but I find it an absolute mess to fix. There's a lot of moving parts to it. And it could even result in information getting communicated to the client if sales invoices need to be updated. So being able to quickly identify if a transaction should have been assigned to a project or a sub-customer helps save a lot of headache in fixing those issues down the line.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So that is the alerts dashboard, and that looks at when transactions are created or modified. Most often, how we see our clients use this is they'll look at each of these reports at the end of the week. The one other thing I didn't specify is if you want to receive an email of specific alert. So here you can enable the alert, but here you actually have notify me by email. You can set it up so that either your bookkeeper, you, or your client receives that email notification saying like, hey, this occurred in the books, you might want to double check that. So if your review process is to look at everything, like weekly, but there's certain stuff that you want to be notified immediately of, you can customize the email notifications to suit those needs.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, that's not the right screen. So this is the alerts dashboard that's focused on creation or modification date. So we do have some other reporting end or month end tools that can help with this. So if you come to the custom scan tool, yeah, you can just run a custom scan based on a reporting period or a creation date. So let's just hypothetically say I want to look at all the journal entries for August. This is our QuickBooks demo account, so some things might look a bit weird, but I'll just say I want to look at all the journal entries for that month as part of my review process, as part of my month-end review process. So I can run that scan.
I love to point out nice little UX UI things. So two that I've seen so far, you can click them all on or off and then go back in. You don't have to do everything individually. Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, opening QuickBooks in a new tab. I know that doesn't sound like a big deal, but when things open in a new tab, our life's a lot easier, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And yeah, so here's all the journal entries created for the month. And I could either follow up to verify this. I could print this document out as part of my month-end process and save it. And yeah, you can do the same for a creation date if you do want to look at that as part of your rules. And that's pretty much our product in a nutshell, Kelly. Again, we really want to just keep it simple and provide value as quickly as possible. Because quite often, especially when you build a firm, it's like little pieces put together, and trying to like gut out a whole thing and replace it, like implementing any workflow software, I'm sure as you're aware, like can be quite a large task. And you might like certain tools, but not like other tools. So we really want to just have something that retrofits easily without, taking too much time. Like the time to value should be as short as possible, because I know what it's like running an accounting firm. You don't have a lot of time. So
right.
If you can optimize that, it's a huge value to the whole company.
Well, change management is always hard. App change management can be particularly hard.
Yeah.
But I am completely, this is not what I thought I was going to see today. This is a wholesale change what you were doing, and I just see such a fit. It is so, like you said, it's right in where you want to be in that construction industry. I mean, I can really see it. Like, I'm thinking of a client that I have that does they do project work. They're not construction, but we do billable, we've got class tracking, we've got all of the things going on that this would lend itself to. So
non-for-profits are also a big one, because they have to track everything. I know they use the projects or classes features a lot, so this helps a lot. That feature set helps a lot. But yeah, just, I mean, the other thing is we're only $2.50 a month per client file, US. And we don't sell your data. Like, data is incredibly important there. So I know that sometimes when people hear that price point, that's something that comes up. So just clarify, we don't sell your data. And yeah, our goal here is just, if we save you an hour a month, we're well worth it, right? Even if it's just to double check, duplicate expenses or any of these other rules that we have, it can drive a lot of value.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, I appreciate the demo. Let's go back to seeing more of you, so we can stop the screen share. Let's get a big, beautiful Leeroy's face on here.
Yeah. How do I do this again? Okay, there we go. Stop presenting. There we go. Cool.
I'm challenging you because I have gone all in on Google Meet, right?
Yeah, but it's good.
Well, that was cool. Do you have, you did a great demo, so I really don't have a lot of questions here. Is there anything else that you want to tell us in the last few minutes? And then you and I are just going to go back to chatting about, CPB last weekend, Connect Toronto.
Sure. So just to wrap things up. I mean, again, we integrate with Quickbooks Online. It's $2.50 a month. We do offer a 30-day free trial at the moment, so no credit card required. So if you just want to dive in to check out the rules, feel free to sign up. If you have questions or would like a demo or anything like that, feel free to just email me at leeroy@checkthelevel.com. I have to share my email here. And if we do offer, if you do have something like, a lot of clients that you want help onboarding, and you want to templatize all your rules, that is something that we can help you with, right? So if you've got hey, I've got 100 client files that I want to install this on, speak to the sales team or myself, and we can have a chat about how we can onboard you a lot smoother, and make that experience better for you. But yeah, outside of that, that's it. Really, really happy to share what we're building today, and I'm glad to see how excited you got, Kenny, because
I did get excited. I get excited about apps, meaning that I really need more of a life outside of this, perhaps. But I appreciate you doing this demo, super succinct, and I love the problems that you're solving. But I also love that you understand deeply what the problems were. That changed everything. So thanks. I'm just going to end the recording now, and that was great. Thank you.
Oh, thanks.